Hello, everyone. My name is Samira, and I work for the Center for Aquatic Sciences, and I'm in the Cause Youth Development Program here at the center. We mainly teach about environment science and also, you know, teach the community about being more aware of their environment and how to help it. And I just want to wish everyone a happy World Oceans Day today. Now at the center, we teach interns how to prepare for curriculum writing and prepare to teach for the community during outreaches or summer camp programs to teach little ones to pass on the information to their families. And today here, I'm going to talk about the Benguet Cardinalfish with my partner, Jack. So the Benguet Cardinalfish, as you can see here, they're gray, they have thick black stripes, and they have white spots. Now it's very, very hard to tell the difference between a male and a female Benguet cardinalfish because they look so similar. They look so similar, and it's like, is that a male or is that a female? But today we have a male. The way we can tell is that a male Benguet cardinalfish have a larger mouth gate, which means their mouth can open very, very wide than a female's. Now, the Benguet cardinalfish are found in the Benguet archipelago in Indonesia. These fishes tend to live in more calm, shallow waters near the coral reefs and the seagrass beds. They also have a lifespan between 2.5 years and 3 years, but some on the record have about up to 5 years old. Now, about their stripes, little did you know that their stripes pay is like a special type of camouflage called destructive coloration. Now, you may ask, what is destructive coloration? Well, destructive coloration is a type of camouflage that uses spots, stripes, and patches of color to break the outline of a fish. Now, this plays a very important role for a fish when it comes to their predators. It helps confuse their predators about their actual size or their shape. So it can help them escape a lot more faster or kind of blend in to certain plant life. Now, that's very, very cool because the Bengay cardinalfish does not have a defense mechanism. They do not have none whatsoever. So their main goal is like, oh, I see a predator. I'm gonna hide away. I'm gonna try to run away because I do not want to get eaten today. But they do have a cool type of immunity to toxins given by sea urchins. You know, those little balls with those spikes coming out of it, or sea anemones that looks like a plant life or almost like a jelly sponge kind of, and they are immune to the toxins that they give off. So it's kind of like a little like how a clownfish, like how they're immune to it. It's kind of like their protective system. So that's a cool way if they don't have a defense mechanism. At least they're immune to toxins. Another thing is that they're small bony fish, so they have special adaptations in order to survive in their environment, such as the swim bladder, the operculum, and a prosopagable jaw, which is a special type of jaw. Now, their swim bladder is very important to a fish because without a swim bladder, just think about it, they'll just drop into the bottom of the ocean floor like ploop. So they need that in order to either sink or in order to float or sink in the ocean. Think of a swim bladder as a balloon because they are an internal gas-like organ which is located inside the abdomen, and it helps them controls their buoyancy and also compensates with their heavy, very heavy bony skeleton. So again, it's the swim bladder is kind of like a balloon. So when they swim very deep into the sea, think of a balloon, it kind of starts to deflate and then it kind of becomes very crushed and condensed. Like, ooh, it kind of starts to squeeze and shrivel up because of all that water pressure on the fish as they dive deeper. So they're kind of sinking a little bit.
I can't find a network connection. Please connect and try again.
My bad. And then as the fish rises up to more shallow water, think of that balloon again. It starts to inflate bigger and bigger, and they start to rise up. They start to float in the sea. So this acts like a positive buoyancy, which helps them rise. And once they reach to the surface, they gulp up more air to kind of float up and fill that balloon up. And when they want to dive back down, they just deflate like a balloon, try to sink back down. So that is how a swim bladder works. Another thing that I mentioned about the special adaptation is the operculum. Now, the operculum is a bony plate that is located on both sides of the fish's head. Now, what this does is it acts like a protector and also covers the gills of the fish's head of the fish head. It's very important for them because you don't want to damage those gills because that's how they mainly get oxygen in. Another thing that I mentioned is is their specialized jaw. Now, their specialized jaw helps them to eat in different variety of places. Like they can eat anywhere. Now, funny how I mentioned eat. These Benguet cardinalfish eat copepods and planktonic organisms. But copepods are mostly small crustaceans. And these small crustaceans, they tend to like, they're very small, they can't swim on their own. So they rely on the ocean's current in order to move them, almost kind of like most plankton life. So it's very simple for the Bengay cardinalfish to just sit there and say, come on, current, bring in those small copepods so I can eat them. And soon as that current comes in, just floats in all the copepods and they can just eat up. So that's a cool way they can eat as well. Another thing is that like one of the mainly cool facts about these creatures, like really, really, really cool, is that is how they meet. It's so cool. Like I never heard anything like this. So the Bengay cardinalfish, the female, they tend to release their eggs, and the male comes around and fertilizes those eggs. Now you think, wait, okay, that seems normal, but get this, right? When the male fertilizes the eggs, guess what he puts them? He puts the eggs in his mouth. I know, right? What? In his mouth? Is he going to eat them? Is he going to swallow them? No, he's not going to do none of that. What he does is he holds the eggs in his mouth until they become juvenile little Bengay cardinalfish. They look really like a smaller version of them. And what they do, and what the male does is he acts like a parent. He protects them, he nurses them in their mouth until again they turn into that juvenile stage and they're ready to hatch. And once they hatch, he opens his mouth again and then he releases those little baby Bengay cardinalfish into the wild so they can make more Bengay cardinalfish. Isn't that cool? Like I would have never guessed. Like if I ever heard that, I would be like, wow. Like how does the male not eat those eggs? But that's pretty cool. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, that's why you can tell the difference between a male Benguet cardinal fish between a female because the male, of course, have a larger mouth gate, and that's why they need to have that to protect the eggs and carry them. So that's another like really, really cool fact about this fish. Like, wow, mind blowing. But another thing is that these fishes are basically endangered. I know it's because they're endangered because they since they live only in the Benguet archipelago, they tend to like they tend to like stay in one place and their home gets destruct, which is home destruction. That's another threat to them or habitat destruction. They tend to be like very like stable in one place. So if let's say, because another threat is fish bombs. let's say if a fisherman comes and throw a fish bomb in the water. Now, mind you, these fish bombs contains very, very toxins, chemicals that can either kill and stun the fish, which is phosphorus, cyanide, and fertilizer, and this is very dangerous. They tend to have like throw the fish bombs in the water. And what it does is it eliminates, like I said, kill or stun any animal, not only the Benguet Cardinalfish in the ocean, but other fishes and coral reefs in the ocean. And we already have a problem with the coral reef because that's most of the animals' habitat. That's how they mainly survive. So without that, it's very harder for us to recover the Bengay cardinalfish because they only live in that one area. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna go over here in the Pacific Ocean and just grab another one and then make that and make more. No, that's not how it works. They only live in that certain area, so it's very very hard for them to recover back. So that's why we want to bring awareness to them. Now, another thing is another thing is that also another threat to them is that most people they tend to do this. They tend to keep them in captivity because since they're pretty beautiful fishes, they tend to like, oh, I'm gonna just go grab a Bengay cardinalfish in the wild, taken away from its natural habitat, and just display it in my pretty beautiful fish tank and show them off to my friends. Now that is the biggest threat because, of course, again, they're very, very hard to recover because they only live in that one area, which is Indonesia, again in the Benguet archipelago. So it's very hard to recover them. So that's why we want to refrain from that. Even though they do look beautiful, they look even more beautiful in their natural habitat and not in a pretty fish tank. So those are the two biggest threats, and they've been endangered since 2016. Now, earlier there was a question about how many eggs do they have. Well, believe it or not, they have about between 50 to 90 eggs. Like imagine like holding 50 to 90 eggs in your mouth. That's like, whew, that's a lot. Like I can't even imagine that. That's like a whole, like literally the definition of a mouthful. Like, wow, that's amazing how how these fish can hold that well the male can hold that amount of eggs in its mouth. Like, wow, that's amazing. And again, another question earlier was about where do they live? Again, they live in the Benguet archipelago in Indonesia. And that's pretty much the basic area because, again, they live near coral reefs and seagrass beds. So they're living in a natural environment, and that's where they can only be found. So we want to make sure that we bring awareness to these fishes because the more we bring awareness, the more we can stop this marine the more we can stop the marine destructions against these creatures and also their habitat and other habitats. So I just want to say, please be mindful where you place your trash. We always want to make sure you recycle because the more you recycle, the more you clean, and the more you be aware of your environment, you're making not only the fishes and marine life more safe and healthy, you're also making our environment more safe and healthy. Sorry. So I just want to thank all of you for watching this video, and I hope you learned something today. And don't be afraid to share out your information. And again, my name is Samara, and I'm a third year college intern in the program. And I don't forget to come back because there are also some more videos this week that you will be mind blown. And I want to say thank you and have a nice day. Bye.